from Basshole Studios in Hollywood, California.
Yo, what time is it?
You're listening to I'm a Basshole with Doug Bass. We've all been one.
He's an asshole.
So let's laugh about it. Now, here's your host, Doug Bass.
Hey, what's up, Bassholes? It's Doug Bass, your host of I'm a Basshole, the podcast. Thanks for joining us here on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast fix. We appreciate you subscribing and reviewing and sharing with your friends, all that good stuff. This is the podcast where we had guests on, and they talk about a time that they were a basshole, an asshole. We also interview them, have a lot of fun. I'm super excited for today's guest. It's comedian, adult film actress Silvia Saige. She's here in the studio. This is pretty amazing. We're going to jump right in because she's here and I don't want to waste any of her time. Silvia, how are you? Thanks for coming in.
Hi, I'm so good. Thank you for having me. I was just commenting before we started. You have so many like cameras set up here. Like this is more than I do when I make porn from my house. Like this is a crazy amount of setup here, but I love it.
I kind of went overboard because sometimes usually we have like 2 or 3 people at a time. But like when I do an interview, like I kind of like to just have like, one-on-one that we can talk more, because when you add more people, then it just starts getting crazy.
No, I love it. And honestly, I love that there's a TV here. I'm like, feel like I'm watching a show, but I'm on it.
You're on it.
It's so fun.
Exactly. It's fun.
A great setup.
Well, thanks for coming out in the rain. It's raining here in LA.
Yeah.
And I know most people would probably cancel, so I appreciate you coming out here all the way from Santa Monica or wherever you're coming from.
People in California will cancel no matter what. So give us a reason. And we're like, oh my God, it's raining out. No way.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, the very beautiful, the funny, the multi-talented Silvia Saige is here in the studio today. Thanks for coming in. It's a pleasure to have you here. I know you were on my live Basshole show a couple months ago at the Improv.
Was it a couple months ago now? Good
I don't know when it was. Yeah, it was probably the fall. I think I had you on. Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You are super funny.
Thank you.
So you started as a stand-up comedian, right?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
That was your first were you an actress before, or you just immediately you were stand-up?
No, so I had been doing stand-up in Kansas City for a few years before I left, and that was my whole reason for moving to LA, because I was like, well, if I'm going to do stand-up, like it can't be done in Kansas City, not in any real way, you know?
Right.
So I was like, I'm going to move to LA. I didn't have a plan. I was just like, well, I had money saved up, and I had enough to cover my entire lease that I had signed.
Okay.
But the week I left, like the week before I left Kansas City, I got a DUI.
Oh, shit.
And so it took like a giant chunk of my savings.
Like 10 grand or some shit?
Yeah, 12 grand by the time it was all said and done. But took a giant chunk out of everything. And that really fucked me when I got here, because I was like, I didn't have a game plan. Like my game plan was like, find a job, do stand up at night, you know?
Yeah, that was your savings to just transition. Out here.
And then I like moved out here with like pretty much next to no money. And I had already signed a lease on my studio apartment.
How old were you when you moved out here? Like
30.
30, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
I worked in hospitals prior to this.
That's right. You have a medical background, right? Did you go to medical school?
So I went to a technical college and I got my degree, my associate's degree, as an X-ray technician. Okay. So I was working in cardiology for 4 years.
Interesting.
I worked in chiropractic specialty, like doing like 3D X-rays. Like,
did you love doing that?
You know what? No.
Yeah, well, obviously not. I mean, you would have stuck with it probably. But
I found really bad parts of the healthcare system that made me hate anything medical.
And this is in St. Louis. You're doing this.
Kansas City.
Kansas City. Sorry.
Yeah.
Kansas City. And I just realized that Kansas City is in Missouri yesterday.
Oh my God.
Someone else I was talking to was like, no, it's in Kansas. I'm like,
well, there's
no.
two.
There's 2, right?
Yeah. So it's a metropolis, but it's 2 separate cities: Kansas City, Missouri; Kansas City, Kansas.
I was like, so good. I'm like, unless you're from that area, I don't think a lot of people realize that.
It's true. Yeah. I think even like presidents have been like Kansas City, Kansas. And we're like, well, it's also Missouri. But
yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you're doing the medical technician X-ray stuff,
yeah,
radiologist?
But I was pretty fucking miserable. And honestly, I was really depressed at that time as well. And I knew I just had to switch something up. Yeah. And I randomly found comedy through another friend who was doing stand-up.
Did you go to an open mic? Were they at an open mic or something?
It was an open mic, and he put my name into the hat.
Awesome.
Like, I wasn't even planning on doing it, so I had nothing prepared. And I just kind of like, just went up there and just freestyled, and it should not have gone well. But for whatever reason, people clapped, and you know that feeling when you're on stage and people are like, "Yeah, you're great," and you're like, "Oh, I'm great."
And then
and then you're like, "I need this all of the time." Yeah. So that's I got wrapped up in it.
So you started doing stand up in that area, and did you start going out like every night or a couple of times a week?
I mean,
really
it just
started seriously pursuing it.
Yeah, just whenever I could.
Yeah.
And then like when which is funny looking back now because I was so bad for so long, but I just was like, I'm gonna pursue it. I'm moving to LA, you know, and here we go.
How long did you do it there before you moved?
2 years.
2 years. All right, that's a good amount of time to
Yeah.
get your feet wet and stuff.
It was enough to know that I wanted to pursue it, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna make this big jump, you know. But so I found myself very broke very quickly in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And I had a friend from Kansas City who's still my best friend. And she called me up one day and she was like, "Hey, I'm going to come to LA. I'm going to do porn. Can I just stay with you?" And I was like, "Girl, I have a studio apartment with like towels on the floor. Like I didn't even have furniture. Like I was sleeping on towels."
Right. Yeah.
And I was so broke and I was like, "Sure, like help me pay rent. Like if you can come out and help me pay rent, like bring it on."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So she started doing porn and it was like her very first week, she brought home like 10 grand.
Right.
And so one day when she was on set, I found her manager's card, her agent's card, and I called him. And
she had an agent.
Yeah. She had like done her research before she came out.
Okay.
So she had already.
Now, is this a friend when she said that she was coming out here to do porn? Were you like, what? Or were you just like, oh, that makes sense?
No, when I met her, the very first time I ever met her, she was like, "My dream is to do porn one day." Like,
this is her dream job.
Super. She's just very sexual. And she also told me the first time she met me, she was like, "One day I'm gonna fuck you," and I was like, "I don't think you are." Like I was super straight, and sure enough, eventually she did fuck me. So yeah, but I found it as a way to like, I'll just make some quick money.
So she gets you into this. You contact her agent or manager or whatever, porn manager, which I didn't even know was a thing.
It is.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So she kind of got you into it, and you're just like, I'm gonna do this for a while just to get my money back and
I thought it would be like. I remember thinking I'll do it for 2 years.
Right.
Like 2 years.
Isn't that how a lot of adult film actors like start? Or they're like, I'm just going to do it this once or like a couple times to pay the credit card off or whatever.
It's so addictive. It's so addictive because for one, it's the best money you've ever made. You're getting to have all these amazing experiences. You're tested and then teamed up with the hottest people you've ever seen. You're put into orgy situations. Like it's like mind blowing.
I mean, I find it I'm like a pretty open-minded, like sexual person as well. And I find it very interesting, the whole adult entertainment world. And I actually I'm a filmmaker and stuff like that. I always actually wanted to direct a porn at some point or like get in there.
You look like a porn director.
Do I really?
Yeah,
I might need a mustache or something. Or is that,
no. Porn directors even more. They're more and more normal.
Yeah. Okay.
Now.
All right. Yeah. I'm thinking like the 70s or something. Yeah.
Way different.
Yeah. It's interesting because I remember when I moved here when I was like 21 or 22 or something like that. And I remember I applied for a porn PA position at one point on Craigslist or whatever.
Yeah.
This was like I was like in between jobs. I was like, I do want to work on a set like that.
Yeah.
I want to get into it or something, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? But I'd want to be behind the camera. I'm not really, I'm the actor, sure, but like, I don't know if I'm built for that, but whatever. That's a whole other therapy issue. But I remember applying to a thing, and it was like, adult porn PA or whatever.
Yeah.
And I applied, and I had done PA work and film work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then
it's way different.
And then they
point.
called me in, and it ended up being. The guy interviewed me, and he's like, I really like your resume. He's like, but I need to let you know that this is not for adult films. It's for the movie Iron Man, to be a PA on the movie Iron Man.
Why?
And I was like, what? And I was like, well, that's also pretty cool. I was like, but they put that out there because they didn't want everyone submitting to be a PA for the Marvel movies or whatever.
Interesting.
So they were like, well, whoever submits obviously really wants to work or whatever. I don't know, but I ended up doing it. It was a cool job.
Oh, how cool.
But that was my one attempt to try to get into the world somehow.
And it was something way different.
And it didn't work. So I don't know if it's meant to be at the end of the day. But
it's very interesting.
Right?
What a cool way to get the Iron Man gig, though.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. That was a whole other thing. But all right. So you're doing porn. You start doing it more regularly.
Yeah.
And this is like what years is like internet? Internet's like internet porn is popular.
Oh, for
at this
sure.
point,
So
right?
I'm turning 40 this year. So this is 10 years ago.
Okay.
So internet porn is wildly still popular. DVDs are still popular.
Right.
Like, it's funny now because I still have like this stack of
Oh my
DVDs,
God,
and
yeah.
I'm like, what am I supposed to do with these things? Nobody wants them. You know,
Collector's
just-
item. They're gonna come back in like
maybe.
10 years. If
Yeah.
you're gonna be looking for them. You know?
Yeah. What are they going to play them on though? Nobody
I
has
don't-
a DVD
I have
player.
a bunch of DVDs. I don't have a player.
Oh,
anymore.
right. Nobody
But I also don't want to
does.
throw them out because I'm like, hey.
One of these days.
Exactly.
They're
one
like
of these days.
records.
They are.
Like
I
our
think
parents kept
they'll
records.
Come back. They'll come back. Yeah.
We'll see. Record players did come back though, so
Yeah.
that might be a thing.
Well,
You
I
might
remember-
be onto something.
I
there.
remember having the porn VHSs. I mean,
Oh, my dad did, for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm 42, so
Yeah.
you know, my first finding porn when I was a kid was like, you know, now everyone just goes on their phone and jerks off to whatever. You know,
Right.
but like, this is like, I remember my friends and I found a pile of porn in the woods.
In the woods.
Yeah, it was very odd. It was
Interesting.
we would like cut through the woods to go to this baseball field behind one
Yeah.
of my friends' houses, and one day there was a stack of VHS tapes just in the woods, and there was like some magazines like Hustlers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we're like, what is it? We didn't even know
Yeah.
what it was, and we were like, and then like my one friend had a VCR and TV in his room, and like we took one or two of the tapes back and we played it. And that was like the first time I had seen porn at like, you know,
Nice.
11 or something like that. And I
Nice.
was like, this is great. But I'm like, who's leaving this pile
Was
of
it real
porn?
porn? Because now I'm just thinking it was like a home video
No,
that people had made.
I remember very vividly. Ron Jeremy was in it.
Oh, okay. So it was like real porn.
It was a real porn. I remember Ron Jeremy was in it. I didn't know who he was at the time.
So gross to think he was even like
Oh.
a popular figure. I can't imagine being in
know.
porn back then when you had to fuck him. Like I can't imagine.
It's so crazy that he became like what
Blech.
he is.
Ugh,
or you know,
so
now
gross.
obviously he's a felon in prison.
and
but,
he's disgusting.
I know, but it was like he started in the 70s.
Yeah.
And that was like the look back then, I guess. I don't know.
I
mean,
think what it was for one, he could suck his own dick, so that was a huge
Did
thing
he?
for him. Yeah,
I
that was
didn't
his
know
like claim to fame.
Really?
Yeah, that was his claim
Wow.
to fame is that he could suck his own dick. But I also think it was the fact that he was disgusting and fat, and
Yeah.
that people
The
were like,
hedgehog, they called
yeah,
it.
then he was like, yeah, I could fuck all these beautiful women, and beautiful women had to fuck him all the
Right.
time. Like
he was
even,
the main star for a long time.
Even when I got into porn 10 years ago, it was very much. Not that, because I don't ever want to say I had to do anything, but there was definitely times where I was like, if I don't do this, like I'm not going to get called back to work. You know, like
Yeah.
I'm having sex with people I'm not necessarily like attracted to. Now, a whole different fucking ball game.
Yeah, things
Now
have
it's
changed.
like
we'll get into that, but yeah, things
Yeah.
have changed. I mean, like, yeah, but like the Ron Jeremy days, it's crazy. Did you ever do comedy with him?
I mean, I have,
Yeah,
but it was
I did
what
one or two shows, and he was
where
on
he
the
played that
lineup.
fucking harmonica.
I don't even remember. I just remember being like, "This is like for me." I was like, "This is crazy that like this is the first guy I saw fuck in a porn,
Yeah.
and now I'm doing a comedy show with this guy."
Yeah, but he's awful.
He was awful.
Yeah.
And now he's in prison and
Yeah.
whatever. I don't want to waste any more time talking about it.
No
because
kidding.
he's
That's
a-
where he deserves to be. I hope he dies in there.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. Fuck it. All right, so yeah, so I found the porn in the woods, and that was my first porn experience.
Yeah.
But then you know, so yeah, there's got to be pressure, I would say, you know, for a female adult actress, film
Yeah.
actress, to you know, get hired on these productions, and you know, not be forced, but like be like, this is like, hey, we need you to do girl on girl scene or
Right.
or an anal scene or whatever, bondage. I don't know. There's all these different categories that
Yeah.
people want to see, you know.
Yeah.
And so do you like? Do you have to audition at first? Like, how does it work? Like is it when you
So-
first get into it? Is it sketchy?
So
like,
in
what's
the
your first? How do you get your first gig?
Yeah, it's super sketchy in the beginning. Super sketch. Well, I will also say I started with a super sketchy agent.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I had to do a casting couch to begin with. That was just like what I was told was like an
That
intro.
really exists.
So, I mean, you know that you're going to like make a porn, but
Right.
it's called a casting couch porn. You go and like they
I've
tell
seen
you the
those, yeah.
setup and like
They're
you-
filming it like kind of like you're coming in for the audition.
Yeah,
and then
but
end
you
up-
know
yeah,
what's
yeah.
going on the whole
Yeah,
time. You have
yeah.
to sign paperwork and like you're
Right,
given
right.
the storyline. Like
Right.
it is what it is. But that was my intro. And then, like I said, because he was such a sketchy agent, like I definitely had shoots where I was like, I don't want to have sex with this person, but I also really want the money.
Right.
And what else am I supposed to do? You know?
Yeah. So like you're not getting like, you know, obviously as you build your career and your name and whatever,
Yeah.
then you get to make choices or probably, you know,
Yes.
I want to work with this person and that person
Oh,
or
yeah.
whatever. But like when you're first starting out, yeah, it's like I have to have
just
a
being
sex scene
partnered
with
up.
this
Yeah.
person and you may not be physically attracted to them
Yeah.
or whatever. And it's like you just got to go, you know, like here's the money, here's the contract, do it,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So
Yeah, there's
I
been
mean, you're
some
being
stuff
your best. You're being your best actress at the same time. I'm imagining.
But I will say it also made me grow in different ways. Now I know this is going to sound fucked up to a lot of people, but it made me more empathetic to people, and it made me kind of have to see the good in people because. For me, like I am not going to be able to have sex with you. I won't be able to physically get wet enough to have sex with you unless like I find something that's in you that's attractive. So I would like look into their eyes and like try and see like their soul or like who they are as a person or find some attribute on them that made them attractive to me.
Right. Does your mind have to like literally go somewhere else while you're doing some of these scenes? Or think about someone else that you may have dated or been with or whatever. I don't know.
It's not necessarily go somewhere else. There's just so much going on because you have to constantly worry about where the camera is, how long you're in each position. If you're like myself and I'm worried about like what my body looks like in certain positions.
Right.
So my brain is on so many different avenues other than enjoyment.
Yeah.
Especially in that moment. And I always say to people like, I have the best sex when the director yells cut. And then me and my partner can like go at it for a minute and like get ourselves where like we want to be.
Does that happen? So when they're not rolling, you guys finish, fucking or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right.
I mean, you're already fucking.
Because I know making one of these things. Like I've seen, enough like behind the scenes. I know it's like making a real, a regular movie. It's like. It's literally, there's long hours probably. There's like, the shots, the lighting, like cut. All right, go again, come, like you do it again, So it gets, routine based, like,
100%.
like a scene. And you're tired at the end of it. And it's not sexy after a while, I'm sure, so it's work. Yeah.
It's 100% work.
Yeah.
And I will say not every time they yell cut are we continue fucking. A lot of times it's someone's got to go get a drink of water or someone's got to go pee or we got to change the lights.
And they all go do like the technical work and you guys are just going at it for another 5 minutes.
If you want to.
Yeah,
if you're into your partner and you both are like wanting to do that. Because a lot of times like it's hard for him to stay hard too when we're doing all these weird ass positions.
Well, because that's the pressure on the guy, obviously. Yeah. And then I'm sure there's Viagra floating around at craft service.
It's everywhere. Yeah. But if you can like get your partner back into it naturally, obviously that's what everybody wants. You you want a good sex scene. So you want there to be some connection between you and your partner.
Of course, yeah.
But I don't know. I'm so thankful to porn for putting me in the positions that I would not have put myself into. Like I would have never been doing girl. I wasn't interested in women, but How long did that take you to like decide like I can do a girl on girl video? My very first scene was with my best friend.
Oh, the one that got you in? Okay, so you guys did your first job together.
Well, my first job, but yeah.
You heard, exactly.
Yeah, not hers, but
okay, so it was a girl on girl video and it was with your best friend.
Well, girl guy. There was a guy in it.
Okay. Now had you experimented with her before actually taping? No, so this is the first time.
Yeah. And I did not enjoy it in that moment. And it took me actually probably a couple years to like find women attractive enough to where like I'm okay with it. I still have a problem with I don't enjoy eating pussy and I don't enjoy women eating my pussy, but then again I don't really enjoy men eating my pussy either.
Got it. Yeah, some people are into certain things. Is there anything that like when you're first starting out that they're like, this is the scene, like you did not want to do it, like some specific thing, or you haven't done in your personal life that you all of a sudden are doing on camera now?
Yeah, there's definitely tons of stuff I didn't do in my personal life that I did for camera. But my motto going in was, I'm going to try everything once. Like I just want to try everything. And if I don't like it, I don't like it and I don't do it again. But I'd like to see like what it's about.
Right.
But I will say orgies was that for me. I had a really hard time with an orgy just because there was a lot of fluids.
There's a lot like threesomes or foursomes, or is this like gangbang?
I'm talking like it was a 9-person orgy.
9-person. All right. Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah.
So there was just a lot. And we all had to swap partners constantly. It was like a fucking merry-go-round.
That's a lot. That's like,
and I'm putting dicks in my mouth that I don't know, like if they were in an ass last, or I don't know where the dick just came from. I don't even know who it just came from.
How is that? I mean, I know it's very safe on the porn sets.
Yeah,
everyone's tested and checked and stuff like that. But yeah, if it is an orgy thing, is it like is there like a cut where it's like, hey, this guy's dick was just in her ass, let's wipe him down?
No, there's really
like that,
you can cut if you want to. Obviously, like any point in time, anybody can yell cut. Like any one of us can just be like hey, I need water,
or something.
Yeah. Or if you don't want to like cut the whole scene and we're in a big orgy like that, they can just tap out anyway. You can just go. You can leave
because there's enough people for them to cover. Right?
Yeah, they'll
someone
just move the camera.
Someone else will grab someone's dick and finish it off.
Exactly. Yeah, because we've also had times where like somebody will come too soon or something like that, and you just gotta like work around it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely realize it's not my thing. I'm super clean when it comes to sex.
That's gotta be tough. The orgy scenes, I think, because I mean, from personal experience, I've been in a couple threesome situation or like a sex party kind of thing.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. But like that's like obviously we're not being filmed, and it's like you can just go do whatever.
Right.
But like 9 people, good lord,
it's a lot.
Good lord,
it's a lot of swap.
A lot of swap. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't comfortable for me.
I can imagine.
Yeah. And everyone there was beautiful, and everyone there, like everyone individually, I would have totally been fine having sex with, but it had nothing to do with the people. It was the amount of like sweat and spray tan and vagina juice and cum and blech.
Now, is this true that do fluffers actually exist? Or is there like a PA, not a PA, but like, is there someone off to the side that's like, hey, we need to get this guy hard for the next scene?
Everybody asked that question. No.
No. All right.
No is the answer. Never on a set that I've been on.
Maybe
Let me
maybe back
that.
in the day.
Back in the day.
Before there was Viagra and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, now a lot of times, like, you might help your scene partner, but that's if you like your scene partner. Like, not everybody that you're going to work with, you're like, I love this guy. Like, I'm like, get your own fucking dick hard. I'll see you when the camera rolls, But a lot of
it's
times.
It's kind of like you have your lines memorized when you go into a scene, right?
Yeah, but if I like the guy, I'm like, hey, do you want some help?
Right.
I'm here for that.
Right. Well, that's nice of you. You're a good co-star, I would say. There. So how long before you start getting recognized as an adult film performer? Your name starts showing up. People know Silvia Saige. They recognize you on the street, perhaps, or whatever. Like how many years are you doing it before that starts happening?
I would say about 5 to 6 years in.
5 to 6 years in.
For me, when I started like getting recognized at airports or going to get ice cream or whatever. Like,
and how is that awkward for you? I mean,
I fucking love
it.
Like
now you, but like when it first happened, is it kind of like, how does a guy approach you with that? Is it that's gotta be so weird? Like, hey, are you her that I just watched on my phone somewhere?
So I think kind of how it started is I remember one time I was in New York and someone had messaged me on Twitter and said like, did I just see you outside of this hotel? And I was like, oh yes, you did just see me outside of that.
You.
Yeah.
Wow,
and so I was like, well, that was cool. And then I kind of like would go on my social media platforms and be like, hey, if you see me in public, come up and say hi to me. Like it would make my day.
Don't be scared. Yeah.
So
exactly.
I kept promoting that to people. Like if you see me, come say hi, come say, like obviously I do comedy as well. So I want my fans to come out to shows and stuff like that.
And as you get recognized as an adult film actress, you're still doing comedy this whole time.
Yes.
Right. So like now once you become,
I would go from set to show all the time.
That's great. That's awesome. So, but as you're getting recognized more, are fans coming to the show now to see you?
Yes and no. So some fans are, but the thing about porn fans is there's like still some amount of shame behind them even being a fan of yours.
Yeah.
So unless they're super fans, they probably won't come out or won't tell me. Like now when I did a show, like when I'm headlining a show, yes, my fans will come out for that. But yeah, it's just, it's a difficult.
Well, because
I mean,
so many people there's still such like a stigma or whatever, unfortunately, that I don't know. I feel like you live in LA or New York or some of these big, no one cares.
It's different here.
But like, from where you grew up, maybe it's very more conservative or whatever, even though everyone's watching it,
of
participating.
course.
It's like, shh, don't talk about it, or whatever. But I mean, I would say the comedy show is like you get your name out there, your social media obviously goes up with, you putting yourself out there and stuff. It helps, get comedy fans, more shows, more exposure, all that stuff, which is great. I mean, that's the end game at the end of the day, But I would say I don't know. I mean, I would say, if you are doing, have you been nominated for nominated film awards or anything like that?
Nominated, yes.
For one?
One, no.
You have not won any?
No.
Really?
This is my 10th year in porn. I have never won a single award.
And those are big awards. Like with the adult, what is it, an AVN?
AVN. They're actually this weekend in Vegas.
Oh, they are? They're always in Vegas,
Yeah. No, I've been nominated several times for MILF Performer of the Year.
Right.
Yeah, but I've never won. But I will say my good friends have always won, and they truly deserve it.
What do they get? They get an award? Is it like the Oscars? Is that what it is?
Yeah. But I will say both of my friends who have won it, they are contract stars. I'm not a contract girl. I I'm not dedicated to one thing. And honestly, for the past like 2 years, I would gander to say I really haven't worked for companies.
Right.
I work for myself.
And
I
that's
run
what
my
I
own
wanna,
stuff.
Yeah, that's what I get, because like the popularization of OnlyFans has changed the game for everyone.
So
right?
much.
Right? It's like but during the pandemic, this thing blew up kind of, right? With what was it, Bella Thorne kind of joining, and then because everyone was on it before then, but it wasn't really well known until like one or two of these celebrities joined it. Right?
Yeah, and then COVID happened.
And then COVID happened.
Everybody's locked inside.
Everyone was locked inside. People started making porn. Amateur people started making it.
What's funny is the amateur people who started OnlyFans, they're making hand over fist what we make as porn stars on OnlyFans, because there's so much of us online already saturated. Like on Pornhub, you can scroll me for hundreds and hundreds of pages, so then getting people to be like, oh, but come to my OnlyFans and there's different porn. Now it is different,
but it is like you are able to talk to like your fans directly, and they can order stuff.
They can order custom videos.
They can be like, hey, can you do this, and I'll pay you whatever. You know what I mean?
And it's funny because a male friend of mine who he's a good looking guy, doesn't really like pay for a lot of stuff like that, but he is obviously a porn fan. He was helping me film some of my customs, and before we did it, he was like, I don't understand why people buy these customs, because they're pretty expensive. I charge a pretty penny for these customs.
That's great.
But when he came over and helped me film afterwards, he was like, I get it. He was like, I get why people pay for this, because for one, I will wear what they want me to wear. I'm saying their name. I'm doing things that are specific to them. Like you can go on and be like, I'm really into feet, or, I want you to do X, Y, and Z. I want you to use this toy.
If they're into feet and they search for something, they may not find it. But if they're like, oh, I can pay you whatever
to make a custom for
video,
them, saying their name, talking about the things they want.
Changed your business immensely, and I know so many people that have gone into OnlyFans now, just as a hobby. Would you say that now that you have OnlyFans access, that the production companies that make these features and whatever, they're hurting now?
Yes.
Yeah.
First off, because they can't afford to bring a lot of people back. I myself in particular, I doubled, if not tripled, my rates to come back to a studio, because I quite literally make more sitting at home in my own apartment making porn in my living room than I would going to work for them.
And you're directing it. You have your
yes,
camera
and
guy,
I'm making end
custom
over end
stuff
on it. Like once I create a video, I can not custom obviously, but I make other content also. So all of that stuff I can just sell and sell and sell and sell and sell and sell for years. When I go work for a company, I make that one paycheck and they own the content.
And they own it, and it's kind of like you not even. Is there residuals in
No.
porn? No, there's no. You get a flat fee for a movie,
and that's it.
And
so they endlessly make money on you.
Money. But like this is like you can film a foot video, and sell it to Frank, Jim, myself, and 20 other guys.
Exactly.
At whatever you charge for it. Yeah. So it's definitely changed immensely. So these companies, it's like they are. How are they still? Because like with YouPorn and stuff, like there's so many amateur things. Like people put up like, here's a video on my phone of like an orgy I went to, and like everyone's doing everything, and people were like, that's hot. I'll jerk off to that, whatever, and it's free or whatever. So it's like, how do they compete with these people just throwing shit up?
It's not going to last for long. Porn companies themselves are not going to stick around for much
like
longer.
Vivid, are they still in business?
They are.
Yeah.
And the same with like Brazzers and Naughty America and the big people. They're obviously still doing well, but they have big contract stars. They have people like Alexis Fox, Cherie DeVille, who are contracted with them, have to make a certain amount of movies with them each month. So they're making all of their money on these big stars.
But these people are still on OnlyFans, I'm imagining.
Oh,
they can do both. Oh, yeah. So they're kind of like double dipping or whatever.
Of course.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. But
now
it's like,
we always say like now as porn stars, when you go shoot for a company, it's like doing a commercial.
Yeah.
There's
no union, right?
No.
Right? That's something that should. No, you don't need it really.
Yeah, at this point though, like the stars, we're just doing so much better than everybody who hires us.
Right.
So
now, do you think these companies, the people that are just getting into porn, Are there still people coming here like how like
to do porn?
yeah,
Yeah.
like your friend that was like it's my dream. Like even though OnlyFans is like, hey, I can do this from my house and
Yeah, because I
Kansas
think there's
City
still
or
some
wherever.
allure of being a porn star. There's
porn
a
star.
difference between being an OnlyFans girl and being a porn star, and I think that's the allure
question.
of that.
The porn star, like there are porn stars and there's like actresses or whatever, or like people you've never heard
Of course,
right? You know, so it's like. The back in the Jenna Jamesons of the back in the day, the Ron Jeremys, this,
Yeah,
everyone.
and it's if you get into porn and become a porn star, there's also the allure of getting to work with all these big names that you've heard of forever. Like that was for me when I got into porn, and the first time I remember getting to work with like Mick Blue, I was like, or getting to work with Kieran Lee, I'm like, these are men that I have like been like ogling for so long, or even the female stars, like getting to work with like Romy Rain and Angela White. I'm like, who am I? Pinch me, like this is so fucking
You've
cool.
gone to Hollywood and died, or Van Nuys, or wherever you should.
Yeah, it's so cool, and like I think there's still a big like draw to that, like being the porn star.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because it's like it still exists. I think, and then when you do become a name, you can write a book, you can do
anything,
podcast.
Yeah,
you have your own podcast.
Yeah,
the Sexy Funny Raw podcast. That's great.
Yes,
I was listening to some of that. And that was interesting. I was listening to the interview with your father.
Yes.
So how was that? Like, like telling your family that you've left the medical field, you've become an adult film actress, you're successful, you're living a great life, whatever, and like that must have been hard, right? Is that hard? I mean, because like, what kind of upbringing did you have? Was it like a religious upbringing? Like,
it was hard. And so I grew up religious, but not because my family was religious. So my parents never went to church with us when we were growing up, but my brother and I attended church Sundays and Wednesdays. But it was more like a social thing for us to be a part of. So I definitely grew up that way, but my mom is super religious now. She remarried when I was in high school, and they like found Jesus together, So she does not like what I do, but we still have a very civil relationship. My mom still, she'll allow me to buy her plane tickets out here and, and come take care of her and do fun things.
Yeah.
So she's accepted. Also, I'm 10 years in and I got in at 30, so it's just a different atmosphere than like an 18-year-old getting into it. It's different.
Like the runaway 18-year-old that ends up in it or whatever.
Right.
And like, some of these girls, they don't do well with it or they're kind of like damaged a little bit if they're not mature enough to
it's a lot of money
figure it out.
And there are sketchy people, and the sketchy people will try and bring you down. And some of these girls, when you're 18 and you come into this kind of money, you don't understand the difference between like what normal people are making. Like I always like compare it like when I worked in a hospital, like this is with my college degree and several years of experience, I was making $70,000 a year. I make that in a month now, easy, you know? And like,
it's insane.
Porn stars don't understand that like that type of money, you would have to like skimper and save to make things work along the way. And so they're just lavishly buying these crazy vacations or these amazing cars or these purses or these clothes.
It's something you got to think about because it's like, all right, so you're young, you're working a bunch, you're hot, you're in shape, whatever, you're a hot commodity and you're making, 70, 100 grand a month, whatever. Every production wants you in it, and you got to be smart and save. It goes for guys, girls, everyone. I think because it's like with any job, really. It's like we get older. It's like all right. Definitely there's different categories for age or whatever, and there's no discrimination. But you may not make as much money as you did when you were 24 or whatever. You know what I mean?
And they've got a lot of spare time, and what they're doing in their spare time is drugs. Like or drinking or just like destroying themselves.
And it's like, and if you don't have if you're not smart enough to do it and have a good head on your shoulders or a good upbringing or whatever, it's like you should know like, hey, this is a golden opportunity to make this much money every month. I work half the amount of time that I would at a normal job. And if you want to be an actress or a writer or a comedian, whatever you want to do, like now you have the funds to do it. You have the extra time to do it. And you got to be smart and dive in and really take that opportunity.
You have to make it a business.
Yeah.
You have to be business minded with it or it just won't work out. Every successful porn star that I know runs a tight schedule.
Yeah.
You know,
I
like,
imagine, yeah.
and does a bunch of other things just outside of porn. If
Right.
you get into porn and you're just like, all I want to do is have sex, like you're gonna run yourself to the ground
and then go to a swingers club or something. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's interesting because it's like I knew a porn actress when I first moved to LA. I was like 22 or whatever. I was living in the Valley, Studio City, and my roommate and I lived in an apartment, and our neighbor, our apartment manager, was an adult film actress. And
the apartment manager?
The apartment manager.
Wow.
So she managed the apartment. She was also, an adult film actress. And it was a crazy situation for and then she would come over and like hook up with us and stuff. Like it was literally like living a dream of like a 16-year-old. You know, I was like, when the hell am I going to move into an apartment and a porn actress lives across the hall,
who's just going to randomly come
and
fuck
comes
me
over and fucks us? I was
So
like,
nice.
I was like, this is Holly. I don't know. I was like, we were 22 at the time. I was like, oh, this is amazing.
Living the
like,
dream.
This is great, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. But then and she never told me her porn name, so I didn't know but then I found it out eventually, and
of course,
whatever. But it was kind of funny and interesting, and it was a great time and stuff. But then she got into some trouble at some point later on. And
easy to do.
That was interesting because like I had still talked to her, we were friends or whatever, and then I found out, she did this and went this way, and I was like, wow, this is crazy.
Well, the sad part about it is I think a reason that a lot of people turn to the drugs and the alcohol and all these things and they get into a negative headspace is because of the outside criticism from the outside world, because you are really, really shunned by the outside world. And if you are not a strong ass person, like that will break you so very quickly.
You gotta have the the strong background or therapy or something to help you with the mental part
some
of it.
way. Because that's what wrecks most people. Like that's how they go into these downward spirals. It's just like so many people telling you that you're a piece of trash all of the time, and if you're like not doing well in porn for, whatever reason, and people are already telling you these awful things, you're like, well, what the fuck do I even, like, why am I even trying at this point?
Yeah, why am I doing this or whatever? Yeah, exactly. You have to ask yourself that question. Yeah. And you were saying like, I listened to your dad. Your dad seems totally cool with it, and like you said, your mom is like doesn't talk about it too much or whatever. But you have a brother or one brother or two brothers? I have one. A real brother. One real brother.
Yeah, and he's super supportive as well. Even for a while, he was working for me. He was like doing comedy stuff for me. Okay. But, he still had to it's funny because I felt so bad. He was like trying to get my Google searches to come up to comedy instead of porn. But he was like, do you realize how many pages of porn you have to get through before you see anything comedy about you? And I was like, I'm so sorry, brother. Like, I'm so sorry that you're having to scroll through these pages, getting through my porn.
Was it scary for you to confront your family about it? Or were you just like, let me rip it off like a Band-Aid?
Ripped it off like a Band-Aid.
Did anyone find out before you told them?
Which I thought they would, because I had made my first movie before I told my family. And so I did think they would find out, but they definitely didn't. My dad said he thought I was doing porn. When I told him, he was like, I kind of thought you might be, you know? So, but my brother took it well. My dad was the one who told my brother for me, which was nice. Right. My mom, of course, didn't take it very well, but like I said, we've gotten past that now, and I was much older and I had a college degree. I had tried the real world. It wasn't working for me.
Did you have, as a kid, or a teenager or whatever, did you have any kind of thoughts about maybe experimenting in this world at some
God,
point?
no.
But
never.
Did you do modeling as a child?
So I did. Yeah, I modeled forever, and then I kind of age appropriately. When I turned 18, I started doing lingerie modeling, and I would do some implied nudes. And I worked at Hooters when I turned 18.
I worked at Hooters as well.
As a cook?
Yes, a cook.
Oh my God, I love it.
I worked at Hooters and
smelling like chicken wings every fucking night.
Wayne, New Jersey.
That smell wouldn't get off of you.
Yeah, that was actually the worst job I've ever had.
I loved
it.
Which
was yes, of course you would love it. I mean, I thought I was gonna love it. I was like, I remember I was in college and I went to Italy for a month, after.
Fun.
But then when I came back to New Jersey between starting school again, I didn't have a summer job.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, all the jobs are taken for the summer, whatever. And my friend Dan worked at Hooters as a cook, a chef or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I can get you a job at Hooters as a chef. And I was like, a chef? I was like, I'm fucking like
dropping chicken wings
I'm 19.
and fries.
I don't even know how to cook for myself.
Yeah.
I make other people's food. I was like, but then I was like, oh, this sounds awesome. Yeah, I'll get to talk to all the Hooter girls.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll hang out, whatever. That didn't happen. I was
Oh,
just
really? We hung out with our cooks all the time.
Some of them were like friendly and stuff, but it was like, it was kind of like, all right. I only worked there for about 2 months, and then I remember coming home smelling like grease.
Oh, the smell.
It was horrible.
You don't have long hair, but the smell would just get trapped in your fucking hair and just smelled of and that dirty grease. It was that dirty grease that they cooked those fucking wings in.
I was like, oh my God. What an
So to answer that question, I was like I was playing off my looks my whole life. Like that's all. Like growing up, my mom was like, "You're just so pretty."
Well, you're very pretty, and you have like an interest. Like you have 2 different color eyes.
I do.
Brown and blue.
Mm-hmm. One for my mom, one for my dad.
That's rare.
Yeah,
right?
I'm 1% of the world.
1%. Yeah, I've seen that. There's some other there's another actress that has that too.
I can't think of her name right now either, but I know
she was in that movie Blue Crush. I forget her name, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I don't know, like. It was kind of a natural progression. It wasn't like super out of my character. I've always been boy crazy since I was like 15. Even my brother, when we were at, we'll go to a Chiefs game together and he'd be like, go flirt with that guy and get us such and such. He's like, just go do your magic. I'm like, okay.
That is always great when you have the hot girl friend or whatever that's like, Sylvia, get us into this.
Yeah, go handle the situation for us. I'm like, off to do my duties.
Right. No, that's always good. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever dated a co-star or anything like that? Does that happen? Have you done that?
Yeah, I've tried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not work well?
It's tough. It's just tough, especially if you're both working a lot.
Yeah.
I'm super strict about my testing.
What is the rule on that? Is it like every week?
So the general rule for everybody is 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks you have to be tested. But personally, I like to test in between every partner. And especially now, because I don't have the same amount of partners I used to. When I was working all the time, I just tested every 2 weeks because I was working fucking 30, making 30 movies a month. There was just no way. But and we pay for all of our own testing, by the way.
Oh, you do?
Mm-hmm. Comes out of our pocket. Now I get to write off, but it does come out of our pocket.
That's strange to me.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's
you
like
would think
$300 every 2 weeks. So it's like not a cheap expense.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Like you think like you work for a company like Vivid, I'm just using for example. Like they have enough money where they can't just have tests like a doctor staff that goes around to each set and does like, all right, it's time for your test.
You would wish, but
that is insane to me.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's very rigid. But that's just the thing is like getting time to where like you can have sex with your partner and then like, because a lot of times they'll go to set and have, an orgy or whatever. And I'm like, do I trust that everybody in your orgy is not having sex outside of the industry? Because that's what it is. Is like,
well, like if they have a partner or like, multiple partners or girlfriends or whatever. Yeah. It's like they're,
And it's anytime people fuck people who are not in the industry or don't get their partners tested.
Well, that's what I would think. Like fucking in the adult industry is probably the safest sex that you can have in the world, I would say.
But you can't trust everybody that they're not fucking other people. Right. So I always like, especially now when I'm choosing who I'm fucking, like I usually go for people who have very similar lifestyles to me. Like I know that outside of shooting, they're not really fucking anybody probably other than their significant other, if they are. So I'm like, okay, I know that, you're going home and having dinner at the end of the night. You're not going off and having sex parties.
Bars or sex parties or whatever. Now, is there a time where like you've had like too much sex at work and like if you're dating or whatever, you're just like, this is the last thing I want to do, right?
Sure.
And then like if you're dating like a normal, person with a 9 to 5 and they're just like, I'm ready. And you're like, nope.
Well, you also have to take into account that like porn dicks are like innately large,
right?
So a lot of times when I'm on set, like I'm having these like 9, 10, 12 inch dicks, I'm fucking exhausted after I'm done. Like I need to sit in an Epsom salt bath. Like I need to like recover, and like
you just need to ice yourself.
Exactly. Let things go back into a normal position. Like, so there's definitely a time where it's like, okay, too much. Don't touch me. Like don't even come near it. But
Now have you been married before? No,
never been married.
Serious relationships?
Yeah, I've had 2 long-term relationships, close to marrying once, but never married. And I've been single now for 16 years. My last
16 years.
Yeah, my last like real relationship ended when I was 24.
Wow, all right.
I know.
Now, the guys that you've dated, I don't know if they were in the industry or whatever. Are they cool with this? Are they open minded? Are they fine? Like, is there jealousy? Like, how does that affect you either mentally or obviously they got to know and they got to be okay with it.
Yeah, I'm super honest with everybody right out of the gate. I never try to hide it from anybody. So I want them to be okay with it. And I think for the most part, people think they're okay with it in the beginning. And then it kind of like becomes an issue.
Right.
I know one guy I dated, in the very beginning, and we're still friends now. Mm-hmm. And he, I remember one time I had gone over to his house and I had come from set, and when I'm at set, before you leave, you always take a shower and like do all the things before you leave. To the gym exactly. Yeah. And so I'd gone to his house afterwards, and I remember I went to go kiss him, and he wouldn't kiss me, and I remember being so fucking pissed off. Yeah. He was like, you just had sex with somebody. I was like, and I took a fucking shower and brushed my teeth. Like, I also had sex with people before I fucking met you. Right. And so, and I know for him it did bother him, and obviously it did not work out us dating for that reason. But I've also dated other men who truly never even brought it up. Like I dated this guy for almost 3 years recently, long distance. So like we didn't see each other that often. So maybe that helped. Right? Yeah, that didn't probably
LA. I think LA is just long distance relationships at the end of the day.
Yeah, but he never ever brought up my job. We never talked about it. Like he, even when we would be like out places, like it was. I don't know. He just you gotta be like a super chill, open-minded, chill, laid-back person. I think to accept and very confident,
in
what you do.
There's so many guys that I meet, like either they are dating the hot girl or have a hot wife or whatever, and like you go to a bar and then you sit there and then you go to the bathroom for a minute and you come back and then there's like 5 guys hovering around your wife or whatever. And I see a lot of people get pissed off, and I'm like, it's
a compliment.
It's a compliment. I mean, my ex-wife's very attractive, and that would happen when we were together, and I was like, whatever. It's like it is what it is. You know what I mean? And it's like,
and she's going home with you.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like you got to have that confidence and not be jealous 24/7 about that kind of thing.
But I understand jealousy because I'm a wildly jealous person myself. Like, but again, that's why I don't think I'm great in relationships.
But would you? So if the roles were reversed, say like you were doing the medical job and your boyfriend was the superstar, big porn star or whatever, would you be okay with that? Or
I think back in the day it would have bothered me. Yeah. Now I think it wouldn't bother me because now I think like my dream is to like meet a guy who wants to make porn with me. Like that's ideal to me.
Right.
So
there you go.
I want him to be into that. And if he's going to go have sex with other people, totally cool. Just like make sure we make money off of it. Like don't just go fuck other people for fun. Like let's make it be an income.
Plan. Have a business plan.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it doesn't mean that the sex can't be fun, especially like now that I'm shooting for OnlyFans and I book my own stuff and I'm booking who I want to book. Like the sex is so much fucking hotter because it's like
you're casting your own leads and stuff.
Yeah. So you can still go have fun, have amazing sex with these hot ass women who have different qualities that I may not have. Maybe that their ass is big and you just want to bury your face in it. Like go do that. I can't give that to you. But like. Come home with money.
Come home with the money. Yeah.
Right.
Show them the money. Yeah,
like, don't make it like not worth it. We better be going on vacation after this.
Yeah. Put in the work, get the money, and then go enjoy yourselves or wherever you want to go. Yeah.
Now exactly. I would totally be okay with it. And also before, like I think a threesome would have bothered me. I would have been wildly jealous in a threesome. But now I feel like a threesome is like, a little bit of pressure off me, Like I can take a break every once in a while.
You don't have to do as much work. And everyone, has their own little thing or whatever.
And now I would find it hot to watch my partner enjoy themselves sexually.
Well, there you go. See, like your mind opens a little bit.
Yes.
And, you kind of experience different things.
Yes.
It's like, I think everyone needs to evolve like that sexually at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
now I'd be like, that's hot. You really like that? Like now, because I also love knowing what turns them on. I think that's so huge.
Well, I think that's the big problem with like people dating and stuff. It's like either you're comfortable enough with the person where you are open to talking about like, I like this, this turns me on, this might be fucking weird, but this is what I'm into.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, so many people are scared of
So scared of that conversation,
divulging that information or, connecting with the person that they, well, what if I say this and she thinks I'm fucking crazy?
Yes.
And it's like, well, you know what? This is who you are. You should be confident enough with it. You know what I mean?
I talk about it a lot on my show, how people need to write list, separately, do it separately, write a list of things that you want to try sexually or places that you'd like to have sex. And then come together with your list and contrast and compare and see what things you guys are mutually interested in, what things that you may not have thought about that they thought about. Now you can come together and try different new things.
That should be a second date list, I think.
Thank you. I've said the same shit. I'm I just want to just fill this out for me.
Look at this list. And if it's if half the shit on here, you have no interest in, then let's call this coffee or happy hour over at the end of this drink or whatever.
Exactly.
I know that's the problem with dating. I think is just people are too. They put these shields up, and it's too. It's already hard enough to meet someone or connect or whatever.
Yeah.
And then if you don't get into it sexually right away, then it's well, I like this person, but we didn't have sex until 3 weeks later, and now it's a waste of time. Or, whatever. It's you have no clue. I don't know. But your stand-up comedy is going well. Obviously, you're performing all over the place. It seems like.
Yeah,
Right?
I mean, I obviously wish I could do more.
Laugh Factory, you perform a lot. Yeah. Do you go on the road at all for stand-up?
Yeah, I do. I want to be doing more of it, but I will say, now that I've started a new company. Started this year. My podcast just got picked up for OnlyFans TV. So I have a lot of changes. Yeah, thank you. I have a lot of changes happening right now, and I've been swamped busy. So I haven't found myself with enough time to write like I like to do.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah.
I used to write, almost every day. I would sit down and write for at least an hour, and now I'm finding zero time in my day that
I
I'm
force myself to do it once a week at least.
That's good.
It's tough though.
Yeah.
But sometimes I like to that's not I'm trying to meet up with people. Be hey, why don't we get together and just fucking.
I do a writers group.
Yeah, that's
also.
important.
Yeah, it's nice to bounce ideas off of other people in those groups too.
Yeah.
But it is more difficult. I would like to do more of it, but like I said, right now I'm just swamped, busy, and I love that.
There's only so much time in the week, the day. Yeah. I mean, the podcast takes up this podcast takes up a lot of time for me, and it's
so much.
It's like a full-time job with not much money or none. Or whatever.
People don't understand how
I love doing it.
Goes into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Even the booking for it.
Oh, it's a nightmare. I mean, and then the live shows, trying to I do the live shows every month. So
nice.
That's putting together a cast of assholes that are
and getting people to show up.
It's a lot. It's a lot of work. Yeah.
And I book a studio and shit, so it's I'm shelling out cash to have this thing produced. People don't realize that either.
You do your podcast at a studio? Now your OnlyFans videos, do you have a studio for that, or you do it at your house or whatever? Do you have a crew? You just have a small little crew?
I got a crew. Yeah. You know what's funny is I have a crew for everything, but that's always been my dream. I wanted to get to a point where I could just be the creator and I didn't have to do any of the behind the scenes stuff.
I'm jealous of that because I'm total opposite. I've always been the one man band.
I was for so long. Dude, when I started my podcast, I'm not shitting you. I had I would put Cheez-It boxes, cereal boxes, anything that I could put because I didn't have stands, and I would put my phone on it with a candle behind it, and that's how I started the podcast. And that's how I did it for the first year.
But that's the way to do it. It's I've always I've kind of added here and there and stuff like that. But it's a lot. It's a lot. I'm still as we're doing this, I'm still technically running the show.
I can tell you
DJ,
are.
And I'm my dream is to have the guy in the corner.
I got a guy in the corner. And I got an editor. I got all of those people.
No,
I got people making my clips for me. I truly at this point, I create the content and then I just step away and I let other people do all the shit. I don't even pay my own bills anymore, Doug. It's to a different point in life.
See, you're living the dream. Good for you. That's awesome. All right. So is there a time in your life that you may have been an asshole? I know you probably you did something on the live show. I can't remember what it is at the time, but you have a quick little story about a time that you may have been an asshole. Either recently, growing up, whatever's on your mind.
Yeah, I think the story I told on the podcast is probably my biggest asshole moment because it was truly a time when I was a piece of shit as a human. And I don't look back on it fondly, but man, it's a great story. It's when I worked in the healthcare industry and I was working at a hospital at the time and I was a shit employee. First off, I was a raging alcoholic at the time. I was doing a lot of
now. Sober? No, you're not sober. No, all right.
I'm not sober. I'm just not a raging alcoholic any longer.
Well, that's good. I'm doing dry January.
I socially drink. Good for you.
Yeah.
But I was also doing a lot of drugs back then. I was just not a good person. So I would call into work all the fucking time. And one day I just called in and told him I was pregnant. I wasn't pregnant at all. But I used this for actual months. I think I let it on for months, and I would call in all the time with morning sickness. I would get off for doctor's appointments. I would tell them that I had doctor's appointments. I would like make up all this crazy shit, all a fucking lie. And then one day I had to come in and tell them that I had miscarried. And then I just went on with this like depression from the miscarriage. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm miserable. Like I got to go home. I'm so uncomfortable. Like I'm in so much pain. I dragged this on for fucking months to my boss. Like I got so much paid time off. Like, but looking back now, like, what a fucking shitty thing to do to people. All because I was just an alcoholic and I wanted to sleep in. I made up a baby, murdered it.
I remember you doing
the whole
this
9 yards.
Yeah. That's an insane story.
It's just being a really shitty person.
Did anyone call you out like at work? Like you don't look pregnant or whatever? Like,
no, because it was like, early days. Like you're not showing.
Yeah.
And then I like made it a whole thing that like the guy that got me pregnant like wasn't around, and like I was like I was putting on performances at work, like crying in the bathroom.
See,
this
was a test for your acting career.
It truly was.
That's maybe when you discovered.
Yeah,
this is
I
what
was
I should
like,
be doing.
I'm so good at this. No, a horrible thing to do. Horrible thing. Don't
lie about being pregnant.
It's just awful. And then I lied about miscarrying a child.
That's got to be heavy.
Like,
that's like that's where you should have gotten the Oscar. I would say, because like it's like people are coming up to you, probably being like, "Oh my God."
They were like
okay?
offering me sympathy.
Yeah, like what can we do? You know, and you got to like if you seem careless about it, then you're like a total fucking like what the fuck is wrong with her? Like, she's mentally crazy.
Yeah, just such a horrible thing to do. But I'm not typically a bad person. But
I don't think so.
I was just a nightmare back then. I was in my 20s. I was just a bad person.
We're all assholes in our 20s.
I think
so. That's where most of the asshole stories come out of. I think is when you're in your early 20s or something like that, or like teenager.
It was just all about me. I never cared about anybody else. Like I didn't care about the other people that were having to like cover my job, like appointments that they were having to cancel because like their x-ray technician wasn't in for weeks at a time, like Jesus Christ.
Plus your head wasn't really into this career as we have discovered. Now,
clearly.
And now you were, who knows if you would have stayed there, like, oh my God. You ever think about that? Like, I always think about like, if you never moved or made a choice to do this or that,
What would have happened? I probably would have just had kids and stayed in the Midwest.
Exactly. Yeah.
What a nightmare.
Yeah, you dodged the bullet by getting rid of that fake kid at the time.
Dodged a lot of bullets. Yeah. Meanwhile, I've never even been pregnant. I don't know if I have the ability to have a child.
I've heard a couple of people say that.
Yeah.
They're like,
I'm okay with that though.
Yeah. No kid. You don't want kids?
No, I would have aborted.
No adopting?
No. I mean, I've always said I would do it if I met the love of my life and they truly, like their one goal in life was to be a parent. I might do it for them. But even then, I think that's a shitty reason to do it.
Sure. You're compromising if you don't really want it.
I've never wanted to be a parent. Never, ever. I've never had the desire. I know a lot of women are like, oh, I feel like I missed out. I'm like, I do not.
I mean, I don't, I have no kids as well. And it's like, I don't,
I have zero
my ex-wife
regret.
didn't want them. I don't think I want them, know, and it's like, I don't know. If it happened, I'd be like, all right, maybe, I don't know. But like, I've dogs and that's enough for me. I'm just like,
it's so much.
Yeah.
And I'm like around my friends with kids and it's so bad. My best friend, she just had her second baby about a year ago. And I remember when she called me to tell me she was pregnant and I was like, do we abort? But she's already had a kid. This was kid number 2. She's like, no, I'm excited about this. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I forget that people want this to happen.
Yeah, it is kind of like when you're in this, I don't know, like either we're in LA world or whatever. It's like, it's kind of like, oh yeah, you happy? Yeah. It's like, I forget that. Congratulations.
Oh, you wanted this.
I'm an uncle, so I got a niece and a nephew. And like, I'm like, that's good enough for me, I think.
Yeah. But don't, when you leave them, aren't you like, thank God, a little peace and quiet?
Yeah. I spent a week with them at the Jersey Shore. And I was like, this is fun for a 2-day. I'm like, this is a lot. I
It's
was like,
so
oh,
much.
God. I was so tired. And then I can't imagine my poor sister and brother-in-law.
All the time.
They're like, it's Groundhog Day. It's like
Yeah.
literally every day, like the same shit.
My best friend says the same thing. Like, she's like, I love my kids. She was like, but do not recommend. She was
Right.
like, you know,
Right.
like, she was like, do not do
Doesn't
it.
look that much fun.
It's
I don't
not
know.
fucking fun at all. They
I
look
think,
miserable
the
all the time.
Only, I would say like I think the time when you appreciate having it is like when you're old and it's
Yeah.
like, oh man, you know,
Somebody take care
don't
of me.
Someone take care of me, or I
Yeah.
don't have as many friends around. I don't know, like depending on how kind of relate. But then again, you can have a nightmare child that's like, you know, a total nut, and then
They could kill
know,
you.
They can kill you. They can
Yeah.
kill someone else.
Yeah.
And then your whole fucking world is fucked. You know,
Yeah.
it's like
So much.
I don't know,
You got to
man.
worry about them dying constantly. They can like
I know.
SIDS die in the middle of the night. Like you got to worry about them running off and drowning in seconds. Like
it's hard
how
enough,
much stress?
Yeah, it's hard enough finding like a partner to like date, like, you know, regularly that you're not going to kill or whatever, you know,
right.
let alone dealing with your partner now plus 2 kids.
Yeah, and
Forget
feeding
it.
them,
And
making meals for them all the time. I don't even like feeding myself every day. I get so annoyed when I get hungry and I don't have
there's-
food at
there's
the
nothing
house.
prepared for you.
Yeah, and I'm like, God
Well,
damn
see,
it! Now
you
I gotta
gotta-
order Postmates.
You got to get a
Like,
chef on your roster.
dude. It's next. I'm
Yeah?
not kidding you.
No.
I'm gonna buy a house. That's
Yeah.
my next step. And then I've
There you
said
go.
when I buy a house, I will get a private chef
There
just
you
because
go. Hell, why not? If you can,
I
if you
want
can
it.
swing it. Yeah.
I would do a private chef now, except for the fact that I think it's weird to hire a private chef to come to your apartment and cook for you. I
Is
think
it?
that's weird.
What if they prepare the stuff at their place and deliver it?
So
Isn't-
many
isn't
people
that a
have
thing?
said that to me.
But
They're
isn't
like,
that-
you
isn't-
need to have
Isn't
that.
that just like ordering those fucking, you know,
Yeah.
factor meals or whatever?
Yeah, and I get, you know, I've done plenty of meal delivery services.
If I get the chef, I would want them like in the kitchen.
I want them breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
and I'm sitting at the table waiting.
Yeah.
And they're like, here's your plate.
Here's your amazing
Yeah, exactly.
food that's
Yeah.
healthy and delicious.
Right out of the oven. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because like when I cook for myself, it's like, all right, I might like air fry some
What
chicken
do you like to
and
cook?
steam
Yeah.
some broccoli.
That's it?
I
You're-
don't like to
You're not
cook.
a good cook?
That's
Yeah.
the problem.
You don't like to do it.
I don't enjoy it in the slightest.
I like to grill. I like to use the grill and do that kind of
Don't
thing.
care.
But yeah, I'm not.
I don't even like to eat if I'm being honest. Like I know I have to feed
Are
myself.
you like vegan or vegetarian or anything? No,
I'm none of those
none of that
things.
shit. All right,
but
good.
like most of the time, I'm just so busy that then
Yeah.
I'm like starving, and I'm like, motherfucker, I gotta eat. Like I
Right.
forget.
You forget,
you know. And
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just like, when we were growing up. Do you remember the Jetsons?
Oh yeah.
Do you know? Most people don't remember this small fact about it, but I think it's one of the things I found the coolest is that they didn't have meals; they had pills, and
Yes.
they would eat their
Yeah.
food in pill
It was
form.
a pill. Yeah.
And I was like, I can't wait for
Yeah,
that.
Where is
like,
that?
I
When
want
is that
that dinner
coming?
pill.
When is that coming? Yeah,
Dude,
the
I'm
dinner-
waiting
yeah.
on it.
We got like
I want a breakfast pill,
self-driving
a lunch
cars
pill,
and
a
all that
dinner
shit.
pill.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's all I want to take. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it would almost be like, you know, when you're busy, like you're week to week, like is the pill, like
Yeah.
breakfast and lunch and whatever.
Yeah, and
But
then you
when
can still
but
go out to a
when you
nice
have-
dinner.
When you have time, like Friday night, it's like, okay, work's
Yeah.
over. Let's go out to the steakhouse. Or
Exactly.
Whatever. You know, it's a hobby. You're enjoying it.
Yes.
You
And
know?
I do like that experience. I like going
Yeah.
out to dinners and having like a nice dinner prepared for me. I love
Sure.
that. And I like eating in that instance. What I'm saying is like the day to
Day to
day.
day, meal prep,
Yeah.
like all that shit.
Having
yeah. Mm-hmm.
to eat 3. So, and I work out a lot. So I'm constantly famished. So I always have to like,
What's your workout? Do you do like Pilates? Do you do, like, what
I
do
have
you
a
do?
personal trainer
Yeah,
that I work out with usually like 6 days a week. And sometimes I'll do 2 a days
Mm-hmm. Right.
and I'll do a boxing class or whatever.
Boxing,
but
that's cool.
Yeah, I weight train. So yeah.
Right, that's awesome.
Constantly just trying to like stay toned and tight.
Well-
Not age. I'm trying to
Not
age.
age. Yeah. Where's that pill? Yeah, that's
So
another pill we
fucking
need.
hard,
Yeah, right.
dude.
I
I,
know.
spend more money like trying not to age. That's so
Well,
silly.
It's expensive in Hollywood to
Yeah.
stay relevant and fit and good
Yeah.
looking, and you know,
yeah.
I know women have much more
Yeah.
things to take care of
Yeah.
than you know.
I'm
us
constantly going
guys.
on a beauty appointment of some sort.
Beauty appointment.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, Silvia Saige, comedian, adult film actress, entrepreneur, podcaster,
Yeah.
actress. I mean, I don't know. You do it all.
I do.
You really do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do it all and I do everybody.
And everyone.
know?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, it's been great having you on.
Thanks for having me. It's been great.
This has been a fascinating and informative and funny interview. You're really down to earth. Your podcast is Sexy Funny Raw Podcast.
Yes.
It can be seen on the OnlyFans TV
So
network?
we're going to OnlyFans TV. Yeah.
Is that an app now, or is it just the website? Is it,
there you can go to the website. I mean, they're even paying to put comedy on there.
That's what I saw, because they're literally transitioning more from like mainstream.
Yeah, they need more content. So they're constantly looking for content.
I should submit my show.
You should submit your show.
Oh my God, I don't know how to do that.
Here's the thing, though. You have to have an OnlyFans.
I have an OnlyFans.
Oh, okay.
But I don't
then
know
you
if
could do it.
But I don't know if I don't have an OnlyFans for. I'm not really active on it, but
as long as you have it,
I do have it. But I probably would have to make one for like this show or comedy or something like that. So maybe I'll redo it or whatever. Yeah.
No, but it's definitely
I'll talk to you about it. Yeah.
Definitely a way to make more money.
Totally, yeah, that would be great. All right, and then the Kansas City Chiefs. Good luck to them.
Thank you.
You're a big fan of those. Right?
Yeah.
Are you all about the Taylor Swift stuff?
You know what? I love it. I think it's great. I love.
Yeah.
Like I'm a hopeless romantic myself, so I just love when people like find it, and you see the way they light up when they look at each other. Like that to me is just like I don't give a shit what anybody thinks. I mean, I'm happy for them.
If they can win the Super Bowl, and
Yeah.
the only thing that they're gonna, if they get in the Super Bowl, the one thing that the NFL is going to regret is being like, you know what, we should fire Usher and get
Taylor Swift.
Then it's like, this is crazy. Like,
yeah, and it's funny to me because so many people are like mad at her being there. They don't understand like Taylor Swift has more fans than the whole NFL.
The NFL
combined.
needs her more than she needs them.
110%.
Exactly. She's a billionaire. Yeah,
and she's bringing in double their
all
fans.
the Swifties
easy.
are now Chiefs fans.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's great.
Yeah, no,
I'm like, people get over it.
I like
it.
I like it. All right, and when's your next stand-up show? Are you performing regularly? You don't know.
I don't have one coming up. Yeah, I got nothing.
Oh, I actually want to book you on something.
Well, my next show is your show.
If you're available.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing the Basshole show at the Bourbon Room on February 7th. It's a Wednesday. Do you want to be one of the judges?
Yeah, I love that. I just judged
available.
Roast Battle. It was so fun. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, cool. I'll talk to you about that.
Yeah, let's do it.
But let's do that. You can find her podcast all over the place. And her OnlyFans, make sure you go subscribe to that.
Do that.
Subscribe to that. Instagram at the Silvia Saige?
The Silvia Saige.
The Silvia Saige.
Yeah.
Follow her there.
Might be a little hard to find me. I'm constantly shadow banned, but
shadow
type
ban?
it all out.
What is that? Shadow ban? What is
they like if you don't already follow me, they won't show my content to people because if you're shadow banned. I think I'm out of it right now, but I was shadow banned for about a month, so we'll see.
All right. Well, follow her while you can.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what's going to happen. We have no control.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Silvia Saige, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Make sure you follow her. And remember, guys, don't be a basshole. But if you are, laugh about it. Ciao.
You've been listening to I'm a Basshole with Doug Bass. Follow us on Instagram at Basshole Show. Think you deserve to be on the show? Email us at contact@bassholeshow.com and visit our website at www.bassholeshow.com and get the latest information. Subscribe on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast fix. And don't miss the full videos on YouTube. Remember, don't be a basshole, but if you are, laugh about it. We'll see you next time.